Hello guys, my name is Engineer Holiday. We want to talk about mathematical induction. And today I'll be explaining, not just explaining, but I'll be also using them to analyze questions. Now, what we want to talk about first is that what is mathematical induction? If once a mathematical induction is mentioned in mathematics, what is it relevant? What do we use it to do? Now, mathematical induction is used to prove a mathematical equation or expression, to prove the validity of such equations. We have so many equations in mathematics that we use mathematical induction to prove if they are correct or not, or if they are valid or not valid. Now, that's what we use, basically what we use mathematical induction to do. Now, the question that will arise from the mind of the student is that how can we use a mathematical induction to prove an equation or a statement of equation in mathematics? Now, there are various methods that can be used to prove that an equation is valid. But today's class, we want to use mathematical induction. And there are procedures that are involved in in using this mathematical induction to prove the validity of an equation. So procedures involved in using mathematical induction. So these are procedures that I want to consider that are involved in in using mathematical induction to prove to prove and a mathematical equation. Number one, we first of all do what they call show that what is to be proved, to be proved is true for n equal to 1. So we have to first of all show that that equation that I want to prove, is it true for n equal to 1? That is step number one. Now, step number two is that we now based on on the fact that it is true for n equal to 1, then assumed that it is true for n equals to 1 k. That means that since this particular second step depends on first step of procedure of mathematical induction. So if number one is valid, then you now go ahead with number two, which is to now show that it is true for n, to assume that it is true for n equals to k. Then the last step, which is step 3, is now based on the assumption of step 2, show that it is it is true for n equals to k plus 1. So we show that it is true for n equals to k plus 1. That is to say, after you have based on the assumption, that means your assumption in step 2 must be valid before you can now base your assumption, or based on the assumptions, you can now prove or show that what it is true for n equals okay. So these are the procedures that are necessary in what proving the validity or to prove the validity of a mathematical equation or mathematical statement. That is to say that in order to achieve your aim, these are the three basic steps that you need to what? To use your tools to use to prove any mathematical equation. Although what in some cases they might give you that n is greater than or equal to 2. It means that you should start your what? Your n should not start with 1, your n should start with 2. If you are giving a conditional statement using an inequality symbol that shows that your n should be greater or equal to 2, n greater equal to 3, it means that you start from 2 and begin to what? And do your test. You will not need to start from n equals to 1. Thank you. Now let's go with the what? With what we need. Now, before we do anything, remember, let me just remind you of this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say this is a series, a sequence. Now, let me find x2, sum of the first two terms. What is sum of the first two terms? It means that 1 plus 2, 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. What about the sum of the what? First what? 3 terms. What are we going to do now? Sum of the first 3 terms is what? 1 plus what? 2 plus what? 3. And that will give us 6. So in this case now, what we are going to do now is to say x3 minus x2 will give us what? Now don't forget, this is the first term, this is the second term, this is the third term, and this is the fourth term of what? Of that sequence. The first term is 1, second term is 2, the third term is 3, and the fourth term is 4. So let me say s3 minus s2 will actually give me what? 6 minus 3 will give me 3. So if 6 minus 3 give me 3, which is the third term, let us take S4 for example. Let's find S4. S4 is for sum of the first 4 terms, which is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. So in this case, what we want to do now is add the 4 of them. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6, plus 4 is 10. Now, if you get 10, let me say S4 minus X3. What do we have? That means 10 minus what? Which is S4 minus 6. What do you have? 4. Which 10 is occupying 4? Is fourth 10. Now, if you check this 10 very well, you will notice that X4 minus S3 give us T4. S3 minus S2 give us T3. S3 minus S2 give us T3. We can generalize and say Tn is equal to what? Sn minus Sn minus 1. So that is to say, if here is 4, here will be 4, and here will be 4 minus 1 is 3, which is what I have done there. If here is 3, n is equal to 3. If n is 3, it means that T3 equals to S3 minus S2. So what if I have Tn plus 1? For instance, I have n plus 1 10. What will that be? It will not be x n plus 1 minus xn. If you check the difference between this and this is just minus 1. Difference between this and this is minus 1. Difference between 4 and 3 is just minus 1. Just 1 rather. This one, difference between this one is just 1. That means this, subtract 1 from here, you get this. Subtract 1 from here, you get this. Subtract 1 from 4, you get this. So this is a formula that will be relevant for me to still assist the procedure that I've given to you. Because sometimes when I'm using this formula, Some of you will not know that this is the formula I'm using. And for some majority of the questions that are going to be proven. So just take note. We are able to what? Talk about the procedure that is involving a mathematical induction. And we have also explained that a mathematical induction is a what? Method. Is a method used to prove a mathematical statement or equation that it is valid. My name is Engineer Holiday. Till next video, because in the next video, our next video, we are going to be looking at how to apply what in mathematical induction to prove an equation. Thank you. God bless.